What makes an antagonist likable, and how can you create 6 different profiles of likable antagonists? You can play on food, you can make her a little childish or have a pet. You can allow her to grant gifts to her team members or other characters that she meets. You can allow her to share her fear or simply be more lenient. As always, each of these profiles can be treated as individual profiles. So here you have 6 different types of likable antagonists. If you were to make a series, you choose the scale of this series, and therefore you choose the number of characters, their importance, the number of locations they're going to visit, and how they relate to each other. So you may want, by using all our models, creating a reckless antagonist, a relatable antagonist, a gorgeous antagonist, and so on. And you may want to create one main antagonist of each type, but you can also use these models to create secondary antagonists or tertiary antagonists, and therefore use each of these submodels to create 6 different types of character under each larger type. Again, it's a matter of scale, and you decide of it. The first way to create a likable antagonist is through food. Food is an easy way to likability. Now, how should your character behave in terms of food? Remember, all that we're describing here is the character's behavior traits and a relationship with other characters. So we're treating in each profile how the character performs as an individual and how she relates to others thanks to her quirks, her goals, and her behavior traits. So, what's a food character? A food character, a food antagonist, and here a food likable antagonist, wants to share food. She wants to look for better food, for different kind of food, for a new kind of food, and she cooks. She can do any of these 3, but the more complete you want your antagonist, the more likely to evolve in the food direction you want her, the more likely you are to add these 3 layers to your antagonist. So a sharer, a searcher, and a cook. The second way to make a likable antagonist is to make her childish. Now, what does childish imply here? Childish may imply petulant, so that may be a weakness of your antagonist, that may be a weakness of your character, but in this case we're going to focus on a relationship to other characters. So, a childish character or a childlike character will act in an uplifting manner. Others, because here it's all about the other character's perspective, may find her inspiring, because if she's always motivating herself in others, well, she may end up looking inspiring. Now, as a child, she has got a young mind. If she's got a young mind, she's got a focused mind. If she's got a focused mind, she's focused on what's important. So she may bring a certain degree of relativism to her team by only focusing on what matters. In most cases, her team, or a goal, or others. You choose, but the relativism here is made to help others to focus on what matters. The third way to make a likable antagonist is to give her a pet. Now, what does a pet imply for her and in her relationship with others? To some degree, if you've got a pet, you're looking for a certain degree of diversity in your team or in your entourage. So giving her a pet makes her a more tolerant character, or, said in another manner, a character that's looking for different kind of individuals. Giving her a pet makes her caring. She may want to help others other than her pet, but she has the ability to do so. She wants to take care of another living being. It also makes her attentive. She can focus enough to allow another living being to be happy. She can focus enough on this other living being, on this other living creature. So here, attentive and caring are complementary, but they should not be confounded. one represents the ability to do something, the other represents the want, the wish to do something. So you have to articulate them both with the wish, the need, and maybe the want to redefine diversity coming from this character. So what defines her, first and foremost, as an individual is her ability and her wish to take care of another living thing. And then, in a group, she may have the ability to bring more diversity to the group. That's what a pet entices to. The fourth way to make a likable antagonist is to allow her to create and give away gifts. Gifts here mean three things. This character has some degree of crafting skill, which will often be useful in any team, which will often be useful in any story, because you can give more depth to your story, more depth to your environment, in the use of resources, in the place in an organization, in a relationship between two individuals. If you got a crafter, if you got a character that can create things, whether they are material or immaterial, it also implies that when she crafts these things, she crafts them for others. So she has the ability to identify individual wishes. So this character, the character who gives gifts away, she has an ability, so she has some degree of empathy, and she has the ability to classify people depending on their wants, depending on their wishes, depending on the type of things they like, so their affinities with other characters, but also their affinities with their environment and with activities, so she can identify others' passion quite easily. So that's two more traits. This character has some great perspective when it comes to identifying and classifying individuals, and she's also a crafter. The fifth way to create a likable antagonist is through fears. Now, fears imply three things. A character which has been constantly afraid and which may still be afraid. Because if you can make the fear more lingering, it's better. If you can allow your character to preserve some of her fears, because some of her fears define her identity, some of her weaknesses define her identity, it's even better. It allows you to explain why this character has this need, this inner want maybe, for more stability, and why she may look more stable than others and help others to become more stable. You can explain her pain through these fears. You can show that if she has obsessions or if she has fine forms of mental illnesses, you can show her suffering, her pain through these fears of acting in a certain manner, treating others in a certain manner, and therefore all these fears have left her to develop a greater sense of stability, and this stability has been achieved through a constant hope to change, a constant wish, a renewed expectation to change. So with all the other likable profiles, it's the same thing. This character has a problem, she wants to change, and she can help others to change. The sixth way encompasses the principle of a character needing to change and helping others to change more than any other of these other principles, of these others' way, of these other paths, but in a very different manner, in a much more passive manner, in a much more indirect manner. The sixth way to make a likable antagonist is to make her more lenient. Now, contrary to most other profiles of likable antagonists, all the other five in fact, this character will not act, she will not react, she will wait. You can construe that waiting or patience or being calm and not acting is in itself an action, because it requires some form of focus, it requires some form of attention, of not following a habit. But now we're dealing with this character in this manner. This character has made an habit of being lenient, of not judging, of not attacking, of not criticizing. So what does it imply? and what will it create in others. So you have three different kind of profile, three different layers of reaction. The most common reaction will be surprise. It's not common to be facing a character which does not judge others. Then this surprise can be expressed. It can be expressed with different degrees of aggressiveness or passivity. Now, when this surprise ends, the character which is surprised from this regarding this lenience will become more curious, and this curiosity created through the character which is not judged here in this case will turn into a form of sympathy. The character now will want to know more about why is this character not judging them. Why is she lenient? Why is she able to not criticize them, maybe unlike many others did? The third degree of reaction is the development of a true mental shelter. So you have three different profiles here, and any character in your story can act in any of these three ways at first, on the first impression. First impression may be surprise, first impression may be curiosity, first impression may be immediate sense of safety. But most characters will start with surprise, they will start with a shock. Then they will go through a bargaining phase, they'll be a little bit curious, then there'll be a little sadness in them because they'll realize that they've been misjudging this lenient individual, and eventually they may want to emulate her, and they may want to become more lenient themselves. If you enjoyed this content and want to know more on this topic, check our video on the 6 surefire way to create an antagonist.